Okay, I apologize. I felt like I was talking a mile a minute on that last video at the end, but I was watching the clock tick on my computer because I only have 10 minutes and then it shuts off, and I hate it when it does that. So, all right, I wanted to finish simple interest because now we're going to talk about compound interest. Compound interest is when the interest that is paid on the principal plus previously earned interest is called compound interest. That is when your interest earns interest. And they might say in one of these problems that the compound interest is being calculated annually. Or it might say it's being compounded semi-annually or quarterly or monthly or daily. Compounded annually means once a year. Semi-annually is every 6 months, but that's the same thing as saying twice a year. And then compounded quarterly, that's every 3 months. But if you take, there's 12 months in a year, every 3 months means it's going to be done 4 times a year. And if you think about the word quarterly, like a quarter, there's 4 quarters in a dollar. There's 4 quarters in a football game. Okay, it's 4 times a year. If they say monthly, that's 12 times a year. If they say daily, 365 times a year. And then the next slide just kind of shows you how it works, but don't worry, you will not have to be filling out any tables like this. Let's say you got $2,000. You deposit it into a bank account for 3 years. The bank account pays 10% interest and it's compounded annually. How much will be in the account at the end of the 3 years? Since it's done annually and it's there for 3 years, they will calculate the interest 3 times. Once at the end of the first year, once at the end of the second year, and once at the end of the third year. Now, on simple interest, they only do it 1 time for the whole number of years. But what happens here is they start you at $2,000. And then your formula is over here. It says P times 1 plus RT. Well, our rate is 10%. So the stuff that's in the parentheses is 1 plus 0.10 times once a year. And so this will be 1 plus 0.10 times 1 is 0.10, and 1 plus 0.10 equals a 1.10. This part in the parentheses will never change. So every time they go to recalculate it, the 1.10 part doesn't change, but the principal does. See, on simple interest, it wouldn't change. It would just be whatever you had from the beginning, and that's it. But when they do it this first time and they get $2,000 times this 1.10, that ends up equaling, I'm gonna go bright green, $2,200. At the beginning of the next year, your account now has $2,200. So when they go to recalculate the principal, or the interest, now instead of it being based on 2,000, it's based on 2,200. And then of course they recalculate it, and now this time you've earned $2,420. It's getting bigger. And then that's the amount at the next year. So when they go to calculate it, they're taking not only the $2,000 that you deposited, but all the money that it has already earned in interest. And then they calculate it again times this 1.10, which brings us to the final amount, which is $2,662. And that would be less money than if they just did simple interest. So that's how basically it works, so that you can see the money grows faster. Now, the formula that you will need for compound interest is this one. It's obnoxious. It says A equals P times, in parentheses, 1 plus R divided by M. And M, let me get we'll go lighter blue on this. M is the number of times that they're going to calculate it. Let's see. Assume that an account with principal P is paying an annual interest rate R and compounding is being done M times. So if they say M times per year, if they say annually, it's once per year. If they say semi-annually, twice per year. If they say quarterly, 4 times per year. If they say monthly, 12 times a year, okay? Capital A is still a future amount. Capital P is still your principal. Little r is still your rate. M is the new thing because now it's going to be compounding more than just one time over the whole account. And then this gets raised to a power of n. And n if the money remains in the account for n time periods. Okay, to calculate the time periods, it's simply going to be the number of times that they compound it per year times the number of years. So that part you'll have to figure out. Okay, so let's see. It's an example of that. An item is $3,500 with no payments due for 6 months. Although no payments are made, the dealer is not loaning the money for 6 months for nothing. $3,500 was borrowed, and in 6 months, the payments will be based upon that fact. If the interest rate is 12%, compounded monthly, what interest will accumulate on the purchase over the next 6 months? Okay, so try to remember what colors I used. Let's see. An item is $3,500. That is our principal. And our time. Okay, this says the dealer is loaning the money and the borrow in 6 months. Okay, so that's our time, T, but that for 6 months would be 0.5 of a year. Okay. That's P there. And then what else we got here? Our interest rate is 12%, but remember that would be R equals 0.12. Okay. And now here comes the new part, M. This thing is compounded monthly, so M would be 12. Now the fact that the word M starts, or the word M, the fact that the word month starts with an M is a total coincidence on this. Okay, and then it wants to know what will the interest accumulate. Okay, I still need N though. I still need N. Remember, N is M times T. M is 12 and T is 0.5. So that's going to be, N will be 6. All right. So on the next slide, they show me all of this. P is 3,500, R is 0.12, M is 12, N is M times T. M is 12 and T is, they put 6/12, but that is 0.5 or 1/2. You get 6. And then they plug it all into the formula. And you should be able to do all of this as is on your calculator and type it in the way you see it. I think I need to do a video on how to do that. I don't know if I have one of that. So if not, I will make one. But I need a document camera for that. So I'll have to wait till I get to work tomorrow to do it. But anyway, they went ahead and did the stuff inside the parentheses first. They calculated 1 plus 0.12 divided by 12 and got 1.01. And then took 3,500 times 1.01, raised to the 6th power, and got that answer. And that is how much money, that is how much money would be in the account when they were done. If you want to know how much interest there would be, I would simply take this number and subtract the 3,500 to figure out how much has accumulated, and $215.33.